What advice would you give to people now? I know a lot of people are suffering economically and psychologically and stop thinking about business now. And I and Dan think that it's exactly good time to make new strategies, like a blue ocean, go to the blue ocean. What advice would you give to people?
You've got to, yeah, I think the first thing that everybody should realize, well, there's two parts to it. One, accept where you are, accept that you are where you are, and don't create, I mean, one of the, and it really annoys me with Trump, but one of the core things you should never do in a crisis is create false hope. If you create false hope and you say everything's done by the end of April, and then you get to the end of April and it's not done, the next time you try and get people to follow you, they're going to say, well, hang on just a second, you know, 2 weeks ago you said it was over and it's not over. It's very important that people understand this is where we are and this is your reality today, and don't fight that reality because it'll just wear you out. Adapt to the environment, create your schedule, make sure you're doing the things you need to allow you to function, but also understand that this will pass. This is not, we're not going to be living inside our apartments for the rest of our lives. We're not going to be stuck in an economy that's absolutely gridlocked for the rest of our lives. And if you can get your mind to the place where it's after, think of where you want to position yourself and your business at that point. Don't make the easy assumption that it will just go back to the way it was, because it won't. And so my advice is deal with the current situation the best way you can and the sort of different tools that you may need to use. But plan for this period afterwards, but don't use, pre-virus thinking. You need to think, what does the world look like? But having said that, of course, it's not that everybody's needs are going to change and nobody's going to want a haircut and, we're all going to, nobody's going to want new clothes. Of course not. There are going to be these basic needs, and there will be a rebound as people get into that, back into that habit. But there will be these other areas, these other niches, and those are the ones to look for, I think.
One thing that comes from that, and I wonder what your experience is, having, been sent around to fix a lot of problems that you didn't create yourself. One thing that people often have trouble with is just killing a bad idea, getting rid of a department or even a business because it no longer serves you, it no longer serves your company, or because it no longer has any viability. Have you learned anything in your career of trying to fix problems? I'm certain that sometimes the fix was, well, we're not going to be in this business anymore, we're not going to be in this territory anymore. How do you get to the point of getting rid of something, even especially if it's something that might have been with you for 10 years or 20 years and it just no longer serves you?
Okay. Well, of course, in my experience, that was never the case because I only arrived after the problem happened. So everything was disposable as far as I was concerned, and the other thing that was at work was that I was exercising my zero emotional intelligence to allow me to just take whatever action I thought was necessary. And there was a reason, there was absolutely a reason why Citibank moved me every 2 years. It was because if they hadn't, I'd have been strung up from a lamppost. And so, everybody won. The bank won because they got the problem fixed. The people that were there won because they got rid of me, and I won because I got to go and do it again somewhere else. But having said that, of course, I understand the point. And I think the issue here is this balance between tactics and strategy, that you have certain tactical things that you need to do that are short term. And then there's some strategic things that you need to do that have longer term implications. And the front end of the crisis, all about knowing where you are and conserving cash. And during that very, very front end, you don't fiddle with the strategy. You simply do the things that you need to make sure that you've got the short-term liquidity in place and you can get through this week. But very soon after that, and I mean, I'm talking within 2 to 3 weeks, you have to start looking at the shape of the crisis without having a shape, without knowing if this is a quick rebound and everything stays the same, but you just had a dip, or whether there's going to be a period where things will look like they're getting better, but then they'll get worse again, but then they'll get better after that, or whether this is something that's a whole paradigm shift and, you know, it's gone down and it's going to stay down for a while. Each of those scenarios will force you to look at where your value creation is. And you've got to place the value creation against the expectations in the future. And then you're in execution mode. So once you've made that decision, and obviously one of the other things that I'd say here, I guess, is making that decision, you need to access novel sources of information, because if historical inputs no longer create historical outputs, and you're in this new world, and you're using historical figures or you're using historical performance of whatever sort, you've got to factor in that now the world has changed, and you need to be looking for the sort of metrics that you'll need in this new world, rather than just relying on what always worked in the past. And then you move into execution mode. And I think in execution mode, one of the things, you know, which is, it's just one of the life's things, some people will get on board with the new strategy and some people won't. And everybody gets the right, I mean, once you've decided who the core team is, and you may find that somebody is not core and they don't have upside potential, so they have to leave. But if there's a core team and you say, okay, these are the people I want with me in the new stage of the business, but you have people who are looking backwards, not forwards, you have to give them a period of time to, as my old boss would say, get on the train. You know, the train then leaves the station. And what I've made the mistake of in the past has been trying, when there's a holdout, when there's somebody that doesn't, you know, agree with me or agree with the new strategy, I've spent a lot of effort trying to convince them that, you know, my way is the right way. And in almost all cases, if they've decided that they don't like your style or they don't like the new plan or whatever it is, nothing you say is going to change their mind. And all that happens is you bleed time from other people that need you into an exercise that is, you know, not efficient, not going to end up with any real value. And anyway, this person is going to be, you know, passively aggressive and try and undermine you no matter what you do. So if I had my time again and I was in those situations, I think I would have been more ruthless. I mean, it sounds funny from a guy that's had a reputation of being very ruthless, but I wasn't ruthless enough in terms of getting out the people who didn't want to be part of it, because I understood that nobody wanted me anyway. And there was just some that were quicker to get on board with the new idea than others. And I thought, well, eventually everybody will get on it. And they didn't. And I ended up wasting a lot of time.
Reminds me of that Russian saying, no sense chopping the tail off inch by inch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Christina, you were saying?
Yeah, I guess we need to going to finish.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Stuart. It was really interesting and I have a lot of insights.
Well, you're welcome. I mean, let me think if I can just give let me just think if you may have to edit this out, Dan. Let me just think if I can come up with a sort of final thought. When the world changes, you have to change with it. If you force your vision of the world into what's comfortable to you, and that is no longer the reality that you're living in, you will simply, you're destined for pain, because at some point the reality of the environment is going to come in, and you can keep it away for a certain period of time, but the quicker you get into understanding that you're in this new environment, the quicker you'll be able to find a way through it and to plan for the next chapter, and we all look forward to the next chapter. Nobody particularly is enjoying this one, but we're all looking forward to the next one.
Stuart, it's always a enormous pleasure to talk to you. I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your invaluable experience. And I do look forward to when we can touch glasses again and have this conversation in the same room.
Okay, excellent. Len, great to chat. Thank you both.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.